And Jesus, the Holy Spirit, is calling us back to our first love. And you know, right when you're about to get married, a lot of you who are married in here, you got like all these butterflies and everything's all really fun, and like you just can't wait to see the person the next day, and every moment it just feels like there's like fireworks going on inside your soul. Remember how that was with whoever you were with? Yeah? And that's kind of how it was, at least this is how I experienced when I came to Jesus. The fireworks going off in my soul, like, oh man, this is amazing. And for a good 6 months there, I was on honeymoon, Jesus is my everything, all's good, and then, just like after spending a little bit of time after getting married, the emotions of all of that died down. But what I've noticed, at least in my marriage with this beautiful woman, is that our love has grown so much deeper. And the emotions are still there, and I think the same is going to happen with God, with everyone here. Your emotions are going to get swept into the love of God often, but it's that developing that root system where you're going deeper. That's what the Holy Spirit's emphasizing right now. He wants our love for Jesus to be primary. Okay, it takes God to love God. This is the coolest thing. You know that God actually helps us to love Him? Like we can't love Him without Him loving us first. That's right. And so it says right here, John 15:9, as the Father has loved me, I have also loved you. Abide in my love. So we get to experience the same love that the Father has for Jesus, that Jesus has for the Father. That's what He gives to us.
Amen.
Click the button. Like, I'm just so excited about that. Like, it's incomprehensible to me to think about it. Jesus didn't sin. They're perfect. They've been together for eternity past. But yet that same love that exists right there in the Trinity, He's placed inside of my heart. He feels the same way about me. I've done some ugly stuff, like really ugly stuff. He still loves me like that. Oh, praise God. Love rooted in obedience. Jesus defined loving God as being deeply rooted in obedience. John 14:15-23 says, if you love me, keep my commandments. He who has my commandments and keeps them, it is he who loves me. If anyone loves me, he will keep my word. You can't separate the two. There's no such thing as loving God without seeking to obey Him. And here's the key here. We don't love God on our terms, the way we think the relationship should go. We need to love God on God's terms. There is a lot of things happening currently in the world that go under this disguise of love. We just want to love. We just want to be accepting and love and all of that. And there's a place for accepting and loving people that are different and who aren't even walking, with the Lord. But we don't get to choose here. Jesus set the example of a life fully given to God, fully in love with Him. That's our example. That's what we follow. And if we're not in His Word regularly, reading about how we can love God and how we can obey Him, it's very easy to get caught off course. All right. Oh, we're turning the page. So, in Mark 12:28, we get these 4 spheres of loving God. I'm going to touch on these quickly. Loving God with all of our heart, mind, strength, and soul. When we love God with all of our heart, that's really us loving God with all of our emotions. Proverbs 4:23 says, keep your heart with all diligence, for from it springs the issues of life. You know that you can set your affections, you can set your love on Jesus? It's not just this willy-nilly thing of, I kind of feel like I love Him today, I don't. There's plenty of times where I show up in the morning at the prayer room and I'm just kind of like, this is not really what I want to be doing right now. And I set my heart in that moment to love God. And 9 times out of 10, He meets me in a dramatic way. We can set our affections on Jesus. As we change our minds, as we continue to go and set our minds on Him, the Spirit will end up changing our hearts. You can't always feel like, I'm going to really enjoy this prayer time, or, I'm really going to get a lot out of this, and so then you go do it. There's going to be times where it's feeling dull. Keep doing it. Please, keep doing it, because that's where He's going to meet you oftentimes is in that time. All right, loving God with all of our mind. That is loving Him with our thoughts. We fill our mind with that which inspires love for God instead of that which diminishes it. So, inside of our mind, we all have this internal movie theater going on at all times. We think, we live in pictures. And so, you can't turn it off. Has anyone ever tried? I've tried this thing called centering prayer, where you're supposed to like just let all the thoughts just kind of go out of your head a little bit, and just have like Jesus come and touch you, and every 3 seconds, bam, 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 bam. It's difficult. You can't turn it off. But what you can do is those thoughts, those images, those things that come to you that you know are not of God, you can redirect them. You can divert them. You can cry upon God to take them from you. And time after time after time, you are loving God with your mind by doing that, because there's an internal process going on. Almost like someone with an addiction to something, let's say addiction to alcohol. There's a wiring that takes place in their brain. Only after long-term sobriety, day in, day out, does that brain begin to be rewired. It's the same thing with us in sin. Sin sometimes has this hard path in our brain that we continue to go to. For some people, it's pornography. For some people, it's bitterness. For some people, it's gossip. It can be a whole wide spectrum. Every time that you say no to that and yes to God, you are doing something internally inside your mind, first off to love God, but also physically actually changing the way that you think. Sphere number 3, loving God with all of our strength. This one makes the least sense. This one doesn't make any sense to me, but Jesus says to do it, so I'm here. We're to love our God with our natural resources, so time, money, energy, talents, words, influence. So I'm just trying to think here. God talks about give and it'll be given back to you. You know, it'll runneth over, poured over, shaken together, blah, 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 all that. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm supposed to give, and then how is it going to come back to me? You know, I'm supposed to spend my time doing this instead of doing this other thing. How am I still going to see positive return over there? And that's the supernatural dimension of God. God supernaturally returns these things to us. And that's this great game of life that we get to play with him, where he's challenging us. Go ahead, give your strength to this. Go ahead, give your time to this. Go ahead, give your money to this, and just watch what I'm going to do back for you. Just watch how it's going to be returned to you. It's really hard at the time because you see your physical resources going. You see that money going. You're looking at your account, you're going, oh goodness, how's this going to work? Nothing is impossible with God. We get that supernatural return with him. Praise Jesus. Loving him with all of our soul. We need an identity realignment. I need it regularly. We realign our identity to be based on our relationship with God instead of on our accomplishments and the recognition we receive from people. We oftentimes base our identity in what we find successful or what we find our values are. And so if your value is making sure that you're pleasing everyone, that people are proud of you, that everyone is around you, and you're doing all these really big, cool things that people are just applauding, I just warn you right now, that's going to end in a lot of pain, because I've been there. I'm there right now, I'll admit it. I'm there right now oftentimes. When it comes to the prayer center, I want this big, extravagant thing that takes over the community of Ottawa, that just breaks in, and we have revival, and we have awakening in this place, where the lost are coming to know him, where the sick are being healed, where the dead are being raised, where just the great moves of God are happening. And I think about this big, extravagant ministry, and God reminds me, love me with all of your soul. Give me your heart. That's really what I'm concerned about. Everything will be added to you if you do that first. Problem is, oftentimes, specifically in our ministries, we can flip that around. And we start judging, oh no, there's only 2 people in the prayer room with me this morning. What's wrong? What am I doing wrong? What's happening here? Why don't people catch this vision? Why isn't this growing? All of that. These are internal thoughts of my own. And God just has to keep directing us. It's not about that. It's about you obeying me. You going after me with all of your heart. Thank you.